Hello and welcome to Tech Tool India. In this video, I'm going to explain you about Laravel API's authentication. For authentication, we are going to use Laravel Sanctum in this video. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe our channel for future videos on Laravel. In the last video, we have seen how we can make the Laravel API CRUD operation. If you have not watched that video, you can click on the I button or get the video link in the description. So without wasting any time, let's get started. In Laravel 9, Laravel Sanctum comes inbuilt with Composer. If you go to the composer.json for Laravel 9, you can see this Laravel Sanctum is required as a dependency. But if you are using any old version, what you need to do, you need to go to Laravel Sanctum documentation and you just need to install this dependency via Composer. And after installing this dependency via Composer, you just need to publish this service provider. After that, you need to run a migration which will create a table called personal access token. This table is used to store the token for each user. Laravel Sanctum allows to create multiple tokens for each user, by which we can define the scope of the user for that particular token. So let's get started and see how we can use this Laravel Sanctum in Laravel 9. We have already installed Laravel 9 APIs and made the CRUD operation. If you go to the APIs, we have created a post APIs get API, and if I hit this, I'll get this to response of the post. So right now it's an open API. There is no middleware for authentication. Anyone can access this API. In order to write the middleware or authentication for these APIs, we need to create an authentication controller in order to create a token for each user. For that, what we'll do, we'll go to the APIs. We'll create one controller for authentication of the APIs by running the command php artisan make controller API will make auth controller for all the API's authentication routes. Let's create this. If you see, this creates auth controller. We need to do now we need to define two routes for register and sign in. So we'll create one register route, call it Auth Register, and give it a controller Auth Controller. So we need to use this Auth Controller. You can see I have imported this Auth Controller via auto import. You can use this Auth Controller on the very top of the page and use this class. Next, we need to define which function we want to use for this. So we will call it create user. We have defined our auth register route. The next is auth login route, and we'll call it login user. So we have defined these routes. Next, we need to create this controller function. Let's go to the controller and let's define create user request. So we'll just simply put it as a request and request parameter. Let's create this by creating a function named create user, which will accept request as a parameter. all the form requests will come here. What we need to do next here, we need to validate the request. In order to validate, what we'll do, we'll create a validate user, and what we'll write here, validator, and as soon as I use this validator, you can see on top of controller we have validator, use the validator class, and I'll pass here the data. Data is all the data which is coming through request. The rules, next we need to write the rules. Rules will be, we require a name parameter which is required. There should be an email parameter which again is a required parameter, and it should be an email. Next is it should be a unique of users table. Column should be email, and since it's a create request, we don't want to accept any IDs here. Alright, so we have written this for email. The next should be a password, always required for a user, so we'll just simply put it as a required. Next, if this validation will fail, we need to return a response of error with JSON. So we'll simply check this validate user. If this fails, so we need to return a response, JSON response, will simply follow our response, like status should be a false, message should be validation error, and there should be all errors in array, like validate user errors. So this will hold all the errors, and the response code will be 401. So this will be our validation. Before moving ahead, we need to put all this inside a try catch block. I'll just move quickly this in a try block so that we can catch the response and return proper, handle proper catch if we found anything. So the message will be, whatever the catch message will be here, we'll simply use that get message, and we don't want this. Alright, so we have validated our input. Next, what we need to do, we need to create a user. So to create a user, what we are going to use, the user model. Inside this, we have to pass all the parameter which is coming through request. So we have a name, email, and password. So the password should be used as a hashed password. So for that we are using hash make, and the value will be the request of password. So this will create the user. So in order to use this user, we need to import the user model, and in order to use this hash, we need to use import this hash facade here. So we have imported hash, we have imported users, we have imported the validators. So 3 imports will do all this here. Once the user is created, what we need to do, we need to return the user with API token. In order to create the token with Sanctum, as Sanctum is inbuilt in Laravel 9, we need to use has API token in user model. So let's open, and if you go to the user model, you see this has API tokens. This is a trait clause based on the Laravel Sanctum. What it does, it actually opens a function called create token, which will create a token for this particular user. So the next thing, we need to return a response. We'll simply copy the above code for response and update it based on, like, it's a 200 response, stated should be true, message should be user created successfully, and the token should be, now we need to return a token. So what we'll do, we'll use this user and then we'll use our create token method, create token, and in that we need to pass what kind of token it is, and it should be a plain text token. Alright, so this will return a token. Let's save this. Let's go to our, let's test like how this function should be working. Let's test this function. To test this, we need to use this Auth Register in APIs. So we'll create a new, we'll use a post method, we'll put this, copy the URL from here, paste it here. After API, we need to use Auth Register. Inside a form data, what we need to do, inside body we need to pass the form data, and here we are passing the name, email, and password would be, alright. So we have this Auth Register APIs to test. Let's send this request. As we can see, we got the status as true, user got created successfully, and we received a token. Next, what we need to do, we need to test if this particular user can be authenticated by using this token. For that, if you go to the post, right now it's an open API, anyone can access, but as soon as I apply a middleware here, middleware for auth and auth using Sanctum. So as soon as I apply this and go to this API and hit it, you see this is calling at unauthenticated and giving it response 401 unauthorized. For this, we need to pass a bearer token authentication, and in that, if I put this token, I just copy this token and put inside our bearer token. Let's see if this is going to work for us. It's working. So as you can see, as soon as you apply this middleware Auth Sanctum, the token is required. If you do not pass the token, it will give you authentication error. As soon as you put the token, it will pass the request and give you the response. So it's very simple. As we did on the register, we need to create a login user function in Auth Controller in order to create a token while login. So what we need to do, login the user, we'll create the function, name it login user, use the similar request as a parameter, use the try catch block as above, copy this response type here in the catch block and put it here. In the login, again we need to validate a user. So what we'll do here, we just copy the same validation and just remove this name parameter from here, because in login we just require only email and the password. If there is any validation error, this will happen. In order to check a login credential, what we need to do here, we need to use auth attempt. By using auth attempt, if there is a invalid credential, it will give you a false response. So what we are going to use here, we'll check if auth attempt give a false response, we need to return a response with the error of wrong username and password or email and password. So what we'll do, we will only take email and password. So here we need to pass an array of email and password. So this will take only email and password, and if this attempt fails, and then we need to return a response saying username or password does not match. Right, so we need to give this response, and if it pass, then what we need to do, we need to find the user, which will be email, should be the request of email, and this should be first. If it is passed, like if authenticated, then we need to create token again. So this similar response will be returned after authentication. So what we'll do here, we'll return this user logged in successfully, and then we'll return the API token. So this should work for login. Let's test this as well. Let's go to our Postman, duplicate this request tab, and inside a body we need to pass email and password. Instead of register, we need to test our login. Let's send this. Great, this is also working. Let's test this token. Go to our first, remove this, send this, it gives you the unauthenticated, put it our token, send the request, it gives you the response. So that's it. That's how we can create a Sanctum authentication for the APIs. It's really very easy. We just need a route for registering and creating an API token for those users, and wherever we want to put this Sanctum authentication middleware, it will just apply the Sanctum authentication middleware and restrict any open user to access your APIs. Hope this video will be informative for you. If you found this video informative, please do subscribe our channel, like this video, share this video with your friends. If you face any issue while integrating this Sanctum in your project, please do let us know on the comment section. Till the next video, keep watching, keep learning. Thank you for watching.